Okay. Hey, let's talk a little bit about the Montreal Screwjob, because I was reading some of your interviews or listening to some of your interviews about that, and you're basically the guy that came up with the finish, right?
Yeah.
So take me through that whole process, because there we are. I mean, we're going to be there very, very soon. Brett's going to go down to WCW. Need to get the belt off of him. Didn't want to do the favors. So everybody's pretty much at a stalemate. And obviously, I guess every idea under the sun had been pitched to Brett, and he had denied and said no to every single one of them. So you guys obviously between a rock and a hard place. You got to get the belt off of him before it goes to WCW.
Yeah, everything you said is absolutely correct. What a lot of people don't know, Steve, is it should never come into question whether or not every idea under the sun was pitched to Brett. Because what a lot of people don't understand is when that happened, it was me, Vince, and Cornette. Okay? Vince pulled me to the side. Vince said to me, Vince, I'm going to call Brett now. I need you to be a third party on the phone to listen to the conversation. Okay? I was the third party on the phone, and I love Bret Hart. I love him. I respect him more than anything. I heard firsthand everything thrown at him. He poo-pooed. Everything. I mean, we tried to work Neidhart in. I mean, everything. And I mean, they were all pretty, as good as we could make Bret look. Everything, right? So this conversation had been going on, Steve, from 9 in the morning. It's 7 o'clock at night now. You know how, like, when you get to the point of you're not getting anywhere and you just freaking throw something out there because it's like, that's where I was. So it's going back for, so finally I said, you know what, Vince? Screw it. I said, let Sean put Brett in his own move, the sharpshooter, and let the referee call for the bell. End it. Simple. End of story. This is at like 8 o'clock at night. Okay? Vince didn't say a word. This is probably like Thursday.
Right.
Okay? Right after that, I went home. The next day, I don't hear anything from Vince. And Vince and I would talk every day, right? We get to the pay-per-view. He's ignoring me. So, Steve, at this point, I don't know what the end game is. I have no idea. And, bro, I'll never forget it. Here's the match. I'm watching the match sitting next to Taker. Okay?
Where were you watching? In the back?
In the back, on the monitor. Like, they're not having a clue to what he decided. And then all of a sudden I'm watching and I see that finish go down. And Taker was going to kill somebody. If he would have known, I would not be here today. Okay? But I also want to add this, Steve. Like, this is a part of the story too a lot of people don't know. Owen was still on our roster. Okay? A couple of days later, less than a week later, Owen called me crying on the phone. Vince, you have to talk to Brett. Brett says if I stay with the WWE, he's going to disown me as a brother. He don't want anything to do with me. Please, you've got to talk to him. So I was like, Owen, why are you calling me? You need to talk to Vince about this. Vince, I tried calling Vince. I can't get a hold of him. Somebody needs to talk to him, right? So, of course, bro, Vince could fire me over talking to Brett, So the first thing I try to do, I try to call Vince. He don't answer the phone, right? So, bro, I love Owen so much as a human being that I'm like, I gotta call Brett, So less than a week after that, I called Brett on the phone, and he wanted to kill everybody. I mean, forget about it. And I said to Brett, man up. I said, Brett, at the end of the day, Vince was looking to protect his entire company. It had nothing to do with Vince not trusting you. Vince didn't trust Eric Bischoff. Vince did not want Eric Bischoff parading his WWF title on their show. Vince was trying to protect the company. And I said to him, Brett, as much as you'll never understand this and you're going to want to rip my head off, I totally stand behind Vince 100% of what he did. Now, am I sorry that it went down that way? Of course I am. Nobody wanted to see that. But, Steve, being on that phone and knowing Brett was shooting down every single idea, He left Vince with no choice. And that's why what happened.
It was interesting that night. Of course, I watched the finish go down as well. I was at the building, and, man, I couldn't believe